Happy Sunday. It's beautiful weather here in New York. I don't know where you are. It almost got up to 80 degrees today. We had a lovely time outside. Now, I am appeasing Team Beef Short Ribs and doing this really quick prep. This is actually a very easy recipe. It does take time, but prep-wise, it's super easy. So, I have already been in vegetable oil, searing off my beef short ribs. And I wonder if some people were thinking ribs, like pork ribs, like a slab of ribs, but these are beef short ribs. They're really, really delicious if you've never had them. They are really tough. You have to braise them, FYI. Anyway, I browned them well on all sides. I salted them before that. Now I ditched most of my oil because it was looking kind of weird in here. And I have all this nice brown bits left in the pan. That's going to be delicious. This is half of a yellow onion, finely chopped. You don't want big pieces of onion in this sauce because it's not very much sauce. Honestly, at the end of the day, it gets really thick. Anyway, I did sear it over high heat, knocked this back. Now it's on medium because I don't want this to get super, super charred because these onion pieces are rather small. Okay, I'm going to give this just a little pinch of salt to bring out the moisture in it so it doesn't burn. I'm just gonna run this through really quickly. And I believe we should be good to go for a little while on that. I'm gonna let that saute. And I'm gonna work on my, what I think is a super simple sort of barbecue sauce braising liquid. Now, could you just sort of add water to a bottled barbecue sauce and use this in the recipe? You probably could, and it would be good, but I kind of like to control the flavors in this. So I already have going here. I just make this all in my measuring cup. It is 1/2 cup of ketchup, just regular old ketchup, and then 1/2 cup of water. So I'm just kind of like making a thinner version of ketchup here. Next, it's just tablespoon, tablespoon, tablespoon of a lot of things. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of light brown sugar. If you have dark brown, that works too. I just happen to have light. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, which I already squeezed previously. So 2 tablespoons going in right now. That's our 2 tablespoons. Now everything else is 1 tablespoon. I have Worcestershire sauce. I think that's how you say it. We're gonna do just 1 tablespoon of that. And this is going to give us a little bit of depth of flavor along with some salty notes in that. Apple cider vinegar. Yes, we have lemon juice in here. That kind of freshens it up, but apple cider vinegar is sort of classic barbecue flavoring, or at least vinegar-wise, so I like to use it in here. Dijon mustard. If you only have yellow mustard or spicy brown mustard, just use whatever mustard you have. I happen to have Dijon. We're going to put about a tablespoon of that in there. And then this crazy thing, molasses. This is completely optional. If you don't have molasses, don't buy it for this. But it does sort of give this a smoky, deep sweetness as opposed to just sugar. So I'm just gonna eyeball this as, we're gonna call that a tablespoon. I don't know. And hot sauce. Any hot sauce you like, Frank's, I don't know. I'm using sriracha, well, what's left of sriracha. I have yet to receive, thank you Inez, who's sending us sriracha. Couldn't find it anywhere, so I'm just gonna kind of use. I'm glad I opened that over the measuring cup. She really wanted to come out. It's supposed to be a tablespoon, but I'm just, whatever, that's that. Whatever's left here. And then just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna head back over to my onions and just check on them, see how they're doing. Oh, wonderful. They are pulling up some of this delicious brown stuff left over from the meat on the bottom of the pan, so I really enjoy that. That is what you want. The rest of that brown stuff we're gonna get pulled up by our liquid. But speaking of, I am going to give this a whisk to combine everything together evenly. Could you just dump all of this stuff directly into the pot? Yeah, you can, but I just sort of like to get it all whisked together before I do. I just find it easier, and while you're waiting for the onions to cook, why not? Okay, I think that is good. Let us give one last look to our onions. They're looking pretty good. And the last thing I want to do before I add that liquid we just made is 2 cloves of finely chopped garlic. And this, you really just want to put in kind of at the last minute, since it will burn, since there's not that much in this pot to begin with. You really want to kind of keep this moving just for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute to take the rawness off of this. But of course, this is a long simmer time for these short ribs because, as I said, it's a tough cut of meat and we need time to break it down in liquid and get it to be fork tender, which they will be after a couple hours. All right, I'm preparing for this. I want to give this one last zhuzh in here. All right, when you can smell the garlic, which you can right now, babe,
Yep.
That's kind of when you know it is at a good point. So I'm gonna kind of move this around. I'm also going to raise the heat on this just a tad because we do want this to come to a boil when we put it in. All right, liquid. Here we go. I like to, only because it's honestly, it's not that much liquid as opposed to some short rib braising recipes where you put like a whole bottle of wine in and whatnot. That's all these are going to braise in, and that's all this needs. And this is going to take on all of the juices and all of the fat the short ribs give off during their cook time, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. Okay, all you have to do now, wait for this to come up to a boil. When it does, that's a good time to put these back into the pot, sort of stir them around, get them coated with the sauce, knock back the heat so you're kind of maintaining a simmer instead of a boil on this, because since it is such a small amount of liquid, you don't want it to boil. Put a lid on it, put it on the back burner, and simmer these for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on the size of your short ribs, and they should be fork tender by that time. This is the sauce, that's the meat, that is all you have to do. A very easy recipe, you just need time to do it. And in this hot weather, I had a hankering for barbecue flavors, so I am very excited to have this a little bit later on tonight. So, thanks everybody, that is it.